Hello, everyone, and welcome to MAC1105 Fall 2021 introduction video. This video specifically is for sections 59 and 61. So if you are in one of those two sections, you are in the right spot. My name is Ethan Williams, and today I'll be going over what I call the introduction video. I'll really just spend time going through the syllabus, the pacing, so you know what's going to be expected of you in the class. And then I'll also go through Canvas, a rough overview of where everything is, what's on Canvas and available for you. And hopefully from this video, you'll be ready to go on day one. Now, one thing I'll say is, you won't see this video prior to day one, but I do hope you watch it in its entirety. The first half of the video, usually these videos are about 40 minutes. So the first 20 to 25 minutes, I'll go over the syllabus and pacing. And then the other half, I'll just go over what's in Canvas. Ultimately, you could read the syllabus yourself. I think that it's better just to watch this because I'll give you a rough overview of what's important. I won't read every last line on the syllabus. And then what I'll also do in the second half, which is probably the more important half, is show you around Canvas, where everything is, how it's going to work. And really, that'll save you a lot of time. So even though I know it's probably not your favorite thing to do, I would really, really hope that you watch this video in its entirety. There will also be a quiz, like a syllabus introduction type of quiz. And even though you could read the syllabus to get most of the information to pass that, watching this video will go over most of the main points as well. All right, so with that, I'm going to start. This is on the home page. So when you open up your home page, you should see something like this on Canvas. I'm going to start by going in the syllabus and pacing tab. And you can also see the same things if you go to the syllabus tab over here. I'll talk about the slight differences when we get there. But right here, the syllabus tab, you can click this little down arrow to download it, or you can just open it up in your browser by clicking on this. I'm just going to open it up because I don't need to download it. And I'm just going to read through the syllabus. Once again, I'm not going to go through every last detail. So if there's something I left out, if there's something you have a question on, of course, you can email me, ask me some questions. All right, so went over the rough, what this class is for, MAC 1105, sections 59 and 61, fall 2021. My name is Ethan Williams. My office location is only on Zoom. Now, if you're not familiar with Zoom, I'll have a specific link in Canvas on how to get to this, my personal Zoom meeting room ID. That's where my office hours will be. And then also my email. So if you want to contact me, it's very straightforward, ethan.williams@tcc.fl.edu. Now, as far as my office hours go, I have office hours Monday through Thursday, all 7 to 8 p.m. And Mondays and Tuesdays are on Zoom. Wednesdays and Thursdays are through email. Now, just to talk about the Zoom hours, this is really the only time, since we have an online class, there is no synchronous meeting times. This is the only time you could get instant feedback. If you come to my Zoom link and ask a question, we can work on something together. I can show you how to do a problem, and you can write it down as if you're taking notes and ask the questions about the problems. Wednesday and Thursday, my office hours are via email. Now, one thing I definitely want to mention about this is if you email me anytime, especially Monday through Friday, I will absolutely respond sometime that day. Unless if, of course, you email me very late, then I'll respond the next day. On the weekend, I might respond, but usually I won't respond till Monday. The point of these office hours through email is, even though I answer emails, if you email me in any of my office hours, but especially on the Wednesday and Thursday ones, I will respond very quickly. So if you have a question, you can always email me beforehand and I'll be on my email during office hours so I can see them. But if you're having some sort of emergency or something like that and you email me, I will definitely respond during these times. So just keep that in mind. All right, required text and materials. You do not need a textbook. You will find everything you need for this course in Canvas. That's going to be lecture videos, the notes that I go through. There's also textbook materials, although it's not necessary to use. I'll show you where that is. There's also the homework, quizzes, and tests are all in Canvas. It's done through Lumen Ohm, if you're familiar with that. And if you're not, it's free. You don't have to sign up. You don't even have to do anything. It's just already in Canvas for you. And then the other thing is a calculator. If you have a TI-83 or 84, that's going to be good for anything you need to use in this class. If you don't have a graphing calculator, there's a free one at desmos.com/graphing. Now I accidentally typed demos instead of Desmos. Maybe my autocorrect didn't notice or think that was a word, but it's actually DESMOS. So it's right here at this website. I'll have that pointed out in the syllabus, and there's other places where you can go to the link. But this is a free online graphing calculator. You can do everything you could with a TI-83 or 84 graphing calculator with it, but it's free. It's a lot easier to use, and I have a little video on how to use it. And you can use it even during tests, because it's not going to give you a magical answer. You still have to work through the problems, but it's just a free version. So if you don't have $100 or don't want to spend $100 on a graphing calculator, this is the way to go. Now, if you do decide to use Desmos as your graphing calculator, you should still have a handheld scientific calculator, because this calculator is only for graphing. It's not going to really let you do anything else as far as solving equations, checking your answers. Really challenging to do in that calculator. So something like a TI-30 is very good. It only costs $10 to $20, so it saves you a lot of money compared to $100, and you may very well already have one of these. So you might not need to buy a calculator at all. Now, as far as being in this course, the prereqs, if you took MAT 1033 and passed with a C or better, then you're eligible for this class. A lot of other different tests to get in here, or depending on your high school transcript, what classes you took, there's a lot of ways you could be placed into this course. If you're not familiar or sure if you should be in this course, you can of course ask me, but if you went through an advisor, they should have put you in the correct course. Technical skills, basically this is an online class. Everything's done through Canvas. Your email uses Outlook to send and receive emails, and also in Canvas there's messaging. So while you do need to check your Outlook email, you can send messages to me directly through Canvas. Right, but pretty much if you've used Canvas before, if you know how to use Outlook, and then the videos, for the lecture videos I host through YouTube, but they are embedded inside Canvas, you don't need to really do anything else. All right, you can read through the course description, but the main thing here is this course is a prerequisite for MAC 2233, MAC 1114, and MAC 1140. So if you have to take any of those three courses, you absolutely have to pass this course with a C or better. All right, so just keep that in mind. If you don't have to take any of those courses and you're wondering why you're in here, there are other courses that aren't math courses that you need to take college algebra for as well. So just keep that in mind. Just because you don't have to take one of these three doesn't mean you don't have to take this class. You should talk to an advisor, look at your transcript to find out what you need to be taking. Right. Communication with me, email or Zoom office hours are the ways to communicate with me. You have the hours as we talked about before, but you can email me anytime. I will respond to any emails or messages within 24 hours, Monday through Friday. But if you email me after 5 p.m. on Friday, I may not respond until Monday. We haven't really gone over the course structure, but what you'll see is the homeworks are due on Friday and the tests and quizzes are due on Sundays. If you have an issue getting onto the tests, and I understand you may be a little worried, you're freaking out, I'm not answering because it's Sunday, just try to stay calm. Send me an email when you have an issue, maybe even take a screenshot, a picture of what's going on, and attach that in the email. And then I will answer you on Monday and we can get things straightened out. But one thing that's very important is when you email me, it must be through your TCC email. If you email me through a private email like a Gmail or a Yahoo or whatever emails people use these days, just keep in mind that I will not respond because I do not technically know it's you and I can't communicate with anyone except you, and you're behind your TCC email or Canvas. So just keep that in mind. If I don't respond to an email from you, make sure it's coming from your TCC email. All right, now I really don't have to use this much, but especially in the fall semester, there are sometimes hurricanes and things that mess up our schedules. So if anything needs to be changed as far as the syllabus goes, I will change that necessarily. If we miss a week because of a hurricane or something, that'll have to be adjusted for our schedule. So just keep that in mind. But that's really all this is there for. I'm not going to randomly decide to make the final exam worth more or less or anything like that. All right. Now, as far as your test, you do have to be proctored for your test. There are 3 tests in a final, so 4 in total. And you will be proctored via HonorLock. If you're not familiar with HonorLock, you will have a practice HonorLock test, just how to get on it. And it'll be worth a free homework grade, and there's no math involved in it. So you will be exposed to HonorLock before test 1, regardless if you've used HonorLock or not. Now, there are, I know, some issues with HonorLock as far as, it claiming that you're cheating or you're not cheating, flagging you when you're not needing to be flagged. Just keep in mind that I'm not going to just let HonorLock flag you and then not watch it myself. So as long as you're not doing anything suspicious, and you'll see an honor code as far as what's expected of you for the test, don't break any of those rules and you will not be penalized at all. Now, one thing is you do need Google Chrome to use HonorLock, and you will need to make sure that you show a photo ID of yourself. If you have a school ID, that's probably the easiest one because it pretty much just has your name and your picture. You can use a driver's license, but there's a lot of personal information that you might not want on there. But if you have a different school ID, maybe from high school, maybe you went to a different college, maybe you went to FSU, something like that, as long as it has your name and your photo, that's good enough. Okay. It also records your screen, so you can't just go to any website. The only websites during the test you'll be able to go to are the actual test website and Desmos. As I mentioned, you're allowed to use this calculator, so you're allowed to go to this website during your test. All right, there's some links if you have any issues with HonorLock, but I have a separate video specifically for HonorLock, how to get on it, for those of you that aren't familiar with it. Now, probably the main thing about any course is, how is my grade going to be made up? Right, so it looks like there's a lot of different categories. There is discussions. These are, I say weekly, but they're not going to be a discussion for the first week. There's not going to be discussions on test week. So it's mostly weekly. They're 5%. I'll go over how you deal with the discussion boards, but this should be a free 5%. You don't have to write novels when you write these discussion boards. You just have to, have some interaction with your classmates. That's really what this is all about. A classmate might be able to help you, point you in the right direction. And you have about 55, 60 classmates versus one of me. So they might be able to help you in cases where maybe I can't as quickly. So take the discussion board seriously. All right, everything's online, by the way, as you might expect. The homework is worth 20%. It's due weekly on Fridays. The quizzes are due on Sundays, but there's not quizzes during test week, so don't worry about that. Right, and as far as the tests go, those are also due on Sundays, with the exception of the final exam. So the dates of the tests are right here. I have a pacing schedule that outlines this as well, so you don't have to write this down right now. Okay. And then the final exam is due on the Thursday of finals week. You'll see from the pacing schedule that I give you not much material the last 2 weeks of class, so you can focus on studying and getting ready for the final exam. All right, that's why it's due on Thursday, but there are no exceptions to this. And then practice tests, I have here extra credit. I'll talk about that in a second. They're not worth anything as far as your final grade. So whether you get a 0 or 100 on the practice tests won't change your grade, but they are due the day before tests. And once again, I'll talk about the practice tests in just a moment. How do they involve extra credit? All right, the grading scale is pretty standard, so I'll just let you read through that. No surprises there. All right, homework assignments. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'll show you how it works on Canvas. But long story short, as soon as you're on Canvas, you can actually access any homework assignment at any time. And if you cannot finish before the deadline, you'll have to use what's called a late pass, which I'll show you how to do that as well. All right. But one thing I will say is I've been asked this before. Do you get extra credit for not using your late passes? No. Whether you use none of them or all of them, doesn't matter. You're going to get no extra credit based on them. So don't worry about it. And I'll show you in this video. So if you're watching this video, stick around. I'll show you how the late passes work. But late passes only work for homeworks. Quizzes, the quizzes are also all available to you immediately, meaning right at this moment, as soon as you have access to Canvas, you can get on and take a quiz. Now you wouldn't want to do that, but the difference is with homework, you can just answer the problem as many times until you get it right. However, quizzes, you only get 4 attempts per question. And if you don't get it right, it's just wrong. All right, so that's the big thing is the quizzes will be related to homeworks you have done. There's not going to be any quiz problem about a problem that you haven't done before. So you want to make sure you're doing the homework before the quiz, and that's why the due date for the quizzes is after the homework. Right. And I'll talk about what this cumulative throughout each test period means, but basically quiz 1 will be sections, let's say 1 through 2. Quiz 2 will be then sections 1 through 5. Quiz 3 will be 1 through 8, and so on. So it really is supposed to build up to the point where you don't forget the stuff you did 4 weeks ago once the test comes around. All right, unit tests, there will be 3. They're on the dates described above. And you have 90 minutes each. They are timed. You only get 1 attempt at a test. Right. So unlike the quizzes where you get 4 attempts per question, you only get 1 attempt. They are administered through Canvas. You have to log on to HonorLock, and they are password protected. And once again, the HonorLock practice test that you'll ultimately do a couple weeks before the first test will show you how to go through that process. Final exam will be accessed through Canvas as well. The difference between the unit test and final exam, unit tests are not cumulative. The final exam is, and it's 2 hours long. So you get 30 more minutes. It's a little bit longer of a test than the unit test, but it will be ultimately the same otherwise. You will do it on Canvas. All right, I talked a little bit about the discussion board, so I'll show you in Canvas more. And then practice tests, I have this outlined in Canvas as well, but it's pretty straightforward. Each test has a practice test, including the final exam. If you get at least a 90% on the practice test, you'll receive a 3% boost to your corresponding test score. All right, so that means if you get an 82 on test 1, but you got a 95 on practice test 1, then that 82 would become an 85. All right, very hopefully straightforward. I have an example of that worked out though on Canvas that I'll show you just in case I went over that too quickly. All right, but this is the only opportunity for extra credit. There will not be other extra credit in this course. Practice tests are the only ones. And probably, what's really important is that I don't make these practice tests, without thinking about what problems. They're just going to be problems like what's on the real test. So if you are doing well on the practice tests and you're not staring at your notes, you're not staring at your using other websites, you're able to work these problems on your own, then you will be ready for the real test. So just remember that. Practice tests also work like homework assignments, so you can do the problems as many times as you need. If you have an 89 and you can get up to a 90, if you have to work that one problem 20 times, you can do it. You can work it 20 times to get that 90. Right, now, as far as student conduct, long story short, if you break the honor code on a test, you will get a 0 on that test. And if you get a 0 on a test, it's very hard to pass the course. Once again, I will talk about what the honor code is specifically when the test comes around. So let's not worry about that right now. Now, as far as online attendance goes, you are expected to attend, quote unquote, attend and participate. And really what that means in this class is that you're participating in the discussion boards and you are doing the assignments as they come up. You're not falling behind, and submitting work, your assignments, the discussion boards, that's what's going to account for your attendance, because we're not physically in class. I'm not going to see, are you doing your work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? At the end of the week, as long as you're keeping up with it, you're doing what you need to do. All right. And there is a government thing as far as financial aid disbursement. You have to attend the course. So as long as you've done an assignment, you are attending the course, for lack of a better term, and you'll be counted as present or attending. All right, so all you have to do is do a homework assignment, the syllabus quiz, anything, and you will be counted as here. Important deadlines: August 24th, which is the second day of class, is the last day to add a class. August 27th, which is the Friday of the first week, that is the last day to drop and receive a refund. So that's very important. If you think this class isn't right for you, or if another class that you're signed up for is not right for you and you are probably going to drop it, you need to do it by August 27th, because if you do not, then you will not get a refund. You'll have to withdraw and get a W. So not only will you have a W on your transcript, but you won't get your money back. So just keep that in mind. That's a very important date. Then the last thing here is that November 2nd is the last day to withdraw and receive a W. So if you're not doing well, if you missed a test, falling behind, something in life has caught up to you and you just can't participate in the course, you need to withdraw by November 2nd. If you don't, and you just get zeros and you keep getting zeros, you're going to get an F in the course, and a W is a lot better than an F. So just keep that in mind. Right, all this stuff, learning support, accessibility, you can read through on your own. I'm not going to go through the specifics. As far as accessibility goes, we talked about honor lock, online communication. Just basically anytime you use the discussion boards, be nice, be presentful. Do not, main thing is don't type in all caps. It can be thought of as yelling. I know some of the things to grab your attention that I do on Canvas, I type in all caps because I really want to get your attention. But in general, don't type in all caps. It just can come off as yelling. Someone might not like it. But other than that, really there's not much to talk about on the discussion boards. You're just going to be talking about your work throughout the week, what you struggled with, what you thought was easy, and that's what those discussion boards are for. All right, so tips for the course. There's a lot that goes into succeeding, especially in a web course. One of the things that's probably the most challenging is that you don't have a lecture time. That counts for a lot, because if you're in class 3 hours a week, you're participating 3 hours a week, which means when you go home, you kind of have that built in. You don't have to go home and watch the lecture. You don't have to go home and start from scratch. All right, so one thing I would say is that for my tips for success is that plan to do, really around 8 to 10 hours per week for this course. You're going to have to make up those 3 hours somehow. That's from watching the lecture videos that I provide for you. And then you're probably going to spend roughly double the amount of time you're watching lecture videos actually doing the work. Now, I have 9 to 14 here because that's a little stretched out. Some weeks are much longer than others. But I just want to set the realistic expectations at the start. If you're thinking I'm only going to do a couple hours a week, unless if you're brilliant at math, that's not really going to work. All right. So just think about it that way. For every 1 hour in class, typically there's 2 hours of work outside of class. Since we would be in class for 3 hours a week, that would be 6 hours outside of class a week. 3 plus 6 is 9. So that's where that 9 comes from. All right. Do all the work assigned. That goes without saying. Homework is so important. And students that do the homework and do it well are far more likely to do better on the test and then pass. So homework's not just a grade, it's really how you prepare for the test. If you're thinking, I'm just going to do the practice tests and quizzes, I'm not worried about the homework, that's not going to be enough practice. you have to do the homework as well. There's a lot of resources available for you, which I'll show you on Canvas. And then this is a little tidbit just letting you know that I'm here to help. I'm not just someone that's talking into this microphone right now. I'm not just someone that's responding to your emails. I do want to help you out. If you have some issues throughout the semester, you're falling behind, you can reach out to me and let me know what's going on, and I can give you advice. The worst thing you can do is fall behind, try to catch up. You can't catch up. You don't ever send me anything. And then at the end of the semester, you're begging me for either to be withdrawn, which I cannot do, or a different grade or extra credit. And that's not fair to other students. So keep in contact with me. I will help you out throughout the semester. But if you wait till the end, it's very hard for me to get you back on track. All right, so overall, that's the syllabus. I'm also going to close out of this and then just show you the pacing real quick. So everything that's due is also due on here. This is a little Excel sheet. I find this a lot easier to read, and students have liked it in the past. So week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way down to week 16. Basically, I have it split up. This is the date of the week on Monday. This is Friday's date, and then I have it color coded. So Friday, this is what's due. Saturday, this is what's due. Sunday, this is what's due. All right, so Friday is when your homeworks are due. And so week 1 here, introduction 0, which isn't much, and then section 1.1 is due. On Saturday, there's nothing due for this week. There's not a discussion for the first week because I want to just do the syllabus and introduction quiz. And because that's a quiz, it'll be due on Sunday. So everything is based around this pattern. One thing I'll point out is that we do have specific days, like Monday, September 6th is Labor Day. And in this week 12 here, November 11th is Veterans Day. We don't have class, but since we don't physically go to class, it doesn't really affect us much. The main one, though, is Thanksgiving break. It really only counts Wednesday through Friday. But with the way everything worked out, we have a test due the week before Thanksgiving. I just pretty much have it built in to give you the entire week of Thanksgiving off, sort of like a spring break type of deal. Now, that's not true for your other classes. So you do keep in mind that you might not be able to just take that week off. But for this class, you won't have to. All right, and over here, I just have a couple of reminders. So the honor lock practice test is going to be due September 12th. I'll talk about that when it comes around. And then the practice tests are due the day before the tests. So I didn't want to try to shove them in here and make this too cluttered, just a reminder. The last thing is week 16 is finals week C syllabus. I talked about how that's due. The final is due Thursday, December 9th. All right, but if there was anything I would print out, I would print out this. Like, it's all built in for you on Canvas anyway, but at least maybe it could be motivational as checking off, I did this, I did this, I did this, or just keeping track of everything. All right, so what else is in Canvas? I just want to show you a few things. Basically, the student office hours has the office hours as I described them, Monday through Thursday, Monday and Tuesdays on Zoom, Wednesday and Thursdays on email. This is my email address. I have them described as far as how I talked about before. But if you do want to go to Zoom office hours, if you're not familiar with Zoom, you could just click on this link. You have to have Zoom downloaded, of course, and then it should just open right up. If you try to join through mobile, I do have a passcode just so, not anyone can join. And the passcode is office hour, no capitals, no space. And then if you use your phone, I guess you can use one of these, but I've never joined from my phone, so I don't know much about them. Okay. What else is up here in the course information tab? Student resources. I'll update this because it changes every semester. This is just how you used to access the virtual learning commons or smart thinking, which is online tutoring. So if you don't want to go to campus or you can't go to campus and you like the Learning Commons, which is the tutoring service at TCC that is free, this link, and I'll have it updated in case it's changed, will show you how to do that. Virtual TCC, that used to be how you would access, let's click on it and see if it's still there. It is still here. So you can access pretty much anything: virtual activities, mental health counseling, emergency relief, victim advocate, accessibility. Everything is built in here. And then student resources. This was more for the beginning of the pandemic, but it updates constantly. So you can read through here. Because this is an online class, this part really isn't going to pertain to us, but you can definitely read through it if you have in-person classes. All right, so what else is in here? I have a link, the introduction video that I'm going through is this, and that'll be put in here. The free Desmos calculator. If you click on that, I have a link to the website. This one's not auto-corrected, so it's desmos.com/calculator. One thing I would say is just save it to your favorites while you're in this course, and then if you never need to use it again, you can remove it. But just having that saved, it'll be a time saver. And I made a little video on how to use it. I might do some things in the videos that you're not familiar with because this is college algebra. But the point of what you'll see is that it's very easy to use. It's a lot easier to use than a handheld calculator, and you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. All right, there are textbook links here, but one thing I'll say is I don't really recommend using the textbook unless if you find everything else not useful. So I'm not going to go through the details here, but I have it all separated out very neatly by section in the course in case you'd like to look at it. All right, and these will be future things to talk about. I don't want to go over them right now. All right, so the first thing you'll see below this sort of course information is quizzes. You can click on this page. It'll tell you how quizzes work. Quizzes are done very similar. You get 4 tries per problem. Each question will not change. You'll see why that makes sense in a minute. Your lowest quiz grade is automatically dropped. So as soon as you take that second quiz, if you got 100 on one quiz and a 0 on the other one, it'll tell you your homework or your quiz average is 100 because it dropped the 0. One thing is you will not be allowed to use late passes on quizzes. Only homeworks. All right, but the way the quizzes work, like I said, you can access anything besides the test right now. So I can click on quiz 1. And because this changed recently, you don't even have to scroll through unless you want to, but just I read and I agree basically says you're not going to steal the problems and use them on your own. So you click quiz, you can click start. Now, the nice thing about a quiz is it's just like homework, so you can leave and come back to it. But the way it works is very straightforward. Like I said, you get 4 tries. This number actually tells you how many tries you have left. Now, I'm just going to get it wrong 4 times on purpose so you can see what happens. So you'll notice I actually got 1.33 out of 4 points, but I have no more tries. That thing went away. Once it goes away, you have no more tries. You can click this. It'll tell you the answer, the little key here. And you click on next question. Now you can go back to it, but because you already did all your attempts on this problem, you can't do it again. But you don't have to go in order. So that maybe you look at this problem, you're like, I don't like this one. I don't want to do this one yet. Then you can go to the next one and just go through and solve them all. All right. But the main thing is that the quiz grades are going to be permanent in the sense that once I got this problem, 1.33 out of 4, it'll save my highest grade attempt on it, but I'm never going to be able to change this, right? And I'll show you how everything works in the grades tab in a second in case you're not familiar, but that's how quizzes work. I'm going to skip the practice test right now and go to the test. And I'll mention this fake assignment and assessment in a second. It'll be gone when you actually start the course. All right, but starting in Unit 1, every section I have it structured the same. There's a lecture video, there's blank notes, there's filled out notes, and there's the actual homework assignment. The lecture video, if you click on it, it's going to open and you can actually open it in the browser or actually go to YouTube and watch me go through the notes. Now, if you're curious about watching this and you want to follow along, which I would highly recommend because I go over all the basics, all the information that you need for the homework. If you click on the blank notes here for the corresponding section, these are the exact notes that I fill out as I go through the video. So if you want, you can print them out, you can download them and maybe write, if you have a touch screen, to keep track of them. One thing I would advise against is, unless if you've already watched the video, don't go to the filled out notes. I put these up here because I know sometimes they're helpful if you've already watched the video, if you've already taken the notes and you just don't have them handy and you are online, then you can see I have everything kind of explained throughout the problems, and hopefully it's easy to read. But it can be very intimidating just to look at this stuff if you want. You know, if you're not comfortable with math, looking at how I did this number 4 all at once, pretty intimidating. So I wouldn't really recommend looking at these. But I go through the problems pretty similarly in the order of the homework assignment, so you can follow along. One thing I sometimes recommend, and I don't think it's a bad idea, is to watch the lecture video, maybe watch 1 or 2 problems, and then go to the homework. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the homework and show you the difference between the homework and the quiz. Now you'll notice that it says redeem late pass, but it's not due yet, so I'm not going to click on that because you only have so many late passes anyway. I'm just going to click start, and it says solve this equation. Now the way this works, I'm going to go ahead and you get 3 attempts for each problem. And what I mean by that is, you'll notice I already had 1, so I did 2. I did 2, so now I have 1, and then my 3rd attempt, which is wrong again, I have no more attempts. And it'll tell me the answer. But what you'll notice is this little thing, you can actually get a similar question. So that's what's difference between the quiz and the test, is that after your 3 attempts on the homework, you can click get a similar question. It won't be the same numbers, but you just click on it and you can try it again. You can see the answer changed because it used to be 7, and you just go until you get it right. And the thing is, you have 3 attempts and then you get the similar question 97 more times. So basically you get 300 attempts per question, and you shouldn't need anywhere near that. But just like with the quiz, it'll save your progress. So one thing I want to go ahead and do is just get a problem right, just so you can see the points, and then I can come back in. So, all right, so I went ahead and just got this problem correct. And you can see I got 4 out of 4 points. Now, if you do get a similar question, if you want to practice problem more and then you do it again and you get it wrong, it actually saves your 4 points. But what I want to show is that you don't have to do the entire problem at once. So let's say I leave the homework and I want to come back to it. All I have to do is just click on it, open it up, and all I have to do is hit resume. You'll notice that I still have those 4 points that I had from before. I don't know what question was, number 3. Even though I has an X there because I got it wrong on my last attempt, I still have my 4 points. And that's the way the quizzes work. Let me go ahead and leave that. If I go up to the quiz real quick, remember I started quiz 1. I don't have to do it all in one sitting. I can just hit resume just like the test. But the bit difference is with the quiz, I already used my 3 attempts. So once again, I cannot do this number 1 anymore. All right. Now the practice tests work just like the homeworks. Go ahead and hit start. You'll notice that I get 3 attempts. That's what this 3 means here. I get 3 tries on this problem. So I'm just gonna show that to you. I got my 3 tries, but I can get a similar question. So practice tests, you can always improve your score. And that's why I have such a strict, really a strict requirement for the bonus. You need to get a 90% because you can work it over and over again to get that bonus. Now, as far as the bonuses go, I just have a reminder here of how it works. An example is if you get an 83% on test 1 and a 92% on practice test 1, your test 1 final score will be an 86. One thing I do want to mention here is that I have to add this myself. So it will not automatically update. If you get an 83 and you know you're supposed to have an 86 because of that bonus, give it a couple days because I need to go through and check the practice test scores and make sure everything is good. Now I am nice about rounding, but the exception is practice tests because you can work on them over and over again. If you get an 89.9% on a practice test, you will not receive your bonus points. You need to get a 90%. Right? You can always work an extra problem more to get that 0.1 to put you over the 90% rank. All right, so that's how the practice tests work. Here in this test section are where the tests are going to be. Now, these are all through HonorLocks, and you can't actually access the test now. You can access the practice test, but I'm not going to. But test 1 is due September 26th. If you try to open it, it'll tell you that's locked until September 20th. It'll only be open the week the test is due. So you can't just go through, jump in, and do any of these assignments. All right, so the last thing on this page I want to show you is that how late passes work. All right, so like I said, this fake assessment will be gone. It's not going to be here. It's the purpose of showing you how late passes work. If I go ahead and click on it, you'll notice that I made it due August 1st. So it was due 17 days ago at this point. Every late pass extends your deadline by 3 days, 72 hours. It says you have 200 late passes available. Yes, I give you a lot at the start of the semester, but I'm not going to give you more. Because I need it extended by 17 days from 8/1 to 8/18, I have to use 6 late passes because each late pass extends it 3 days. So if I want to open this, I have to hit redeem 6 late passes. You'll notice now it says it's due the 19th, which is going to be 18 days because 6 times 3 is 18. So I got 18-day extension. I would never recommend redeeming a late pass for an assignment that's not already due because you don't know if you're going to finish it or not. So I can get started. And like I said, this assignment, it won't really be here. It's just to show you how late passes work. And this is a random problem that's not going to make any sense to you unless if you've taken pre-calculus. So don't worry about that. All right, but that's how late passes work. Once again, they only work on homeworks, nothing else. All right, so we really talked about everything that's on the main page on Canvas now. The introduction here, one exception, I guess, that doesn't look like the rest of these sections. It's just practice on how to enter answers. And you can hit start here. It'll just explain to you how you can type, when you type stuff in, what it's going to look like. So if you have a certain way you have to write your answer, it'll tell you how to use a lot of it. But a lot of these answer boxes are very helpful if you click on an answer box. If you need a fraction, you can hit this. If you need to do a power, you can hit this. If you need a radical, you can hit these. Parentheses, absolute values, the number pi, infinity, D and E for does not exist. They're all there. And we're not there anywhere close to logarithms or exponents, but when we get there, you can click on this button too to help you type those in. All right, so just something to keep in mind. That's all this first assignment is for. All right. So once again, very important to remember the structure of the lecture notes. The lecture videos, then the notes are in each section, and they're there for you to really help. I make the lecture videos myself. So I make the notes myself. I make the homeworks myself. So I make the test myself. I know what's in them. They're going to help a lot. Make sure you use them as you need to. All right, so the other things in Canvas, there's not much left. These announcements, when I post announcements to the course, like just a reminder what's due this week, other things will go here. The Zoom tab won't have anything because we don't actually meet for class. I just wanted to leave this here as a reminder of, hey, we have Zoom office hours, but I'll send weekly announcements reminding you of that as well. The discussion boards, if you click on discussion, are right here. Mine's going to look a little different than yours. These things that don't have the green thing next to them won't actually be there, but I just want to click on show you how they work. So let's just say week 2 discussion, which is the first one you'll have. I basically have it set up for you. These are the learning outcomes you'll go over and you'll have done on the quiz, the homework, which is due on Friday. And then what's due on Saturday is to make an initial post, which is 4 points. You state the learning outcomes that you were comfortable with, so you thought that were pretty easily. You state the learning outcomes that you thought were most challenging and why, and then list the problems that you struggled most with. Now, without any other interaction, this isn't going to be that useful, but since everyone should be doing their initial post on Saturday, then Sunday, respond to 2 of your peers. You may add on to one of their points. Oh, I thought this was hard too, but I found this really helpful. Oh, I thought this problem was really hard too, but I actually was able to figure it out like this. so you can help out your classmates as well. But one thing to notice that you get 10 points here. Only 4 comes from your initial post, 6 comes from your responses, 3 points each. So make sure you're doing both parts, not just one. The syllabus tab just has a syllabus and pacing from before. It has the way your grades distributed, just like on the syllabus over here. And it actually has the weekly assignments that are due. One thing I will advise that you do not do is actually use this tab to enter assignments. While it is handy of seeing what's due, what's going to be very deceiving is when test weeks come around, you cannot actually access test through here. And it can be really confusing because you're looking for a password and this isn't the right way to do it. So I actually would only use this to look at due dates. I wouldn't use this for anything else. The grades tab, this is where your grades are stored. Now, because I messed around and did a couple, you'll notice that I have a score for 2 assignments, homework and quiz. And it actually tells me my total grade, but it's only out of what I've done so far. So you can see I have pretty low score, 1 out of 20, 1.3 out of 48 on these. So right now my grade is currently at 4.41. One thing I will say is that you can actually do stuff to see what would my grade be if I got this. And you can just type in anything. So let's say, what if I actually had a 48 out of 48 on quiz 1? Well, then I'd actually have a 36.84% because I have a good quiz grade, but I still have a very bad homework grade. So if I got a homework grade that was very good, then it would look like 100%. But the one thing to remember is that you messed around with this. It's not going to stick around. Hit revert to actual score, and then it knows. I guess some weird rounding here, but you'll notice that my current score is a 4.41% for the class. All right, there is a couple resources built in Canvas. One's called Study Edge Videos. I don't know if it's going to be up and available yet because the semester hasn't started, but basically this is a little section where you can ask questions and there will be live tutors to answer you. They are available. In past semesters, it's been from 6 p.m. to midnight every day. So that's really the times when you might be working and I might not be as available in general. So if you have a question, it's a great place. And I'll talk more about it when it's actually up and running. But as you can see, it doesn't seem to be up and running yet. And then Smart Thinking Online Tutoring. This is sort of a last resort. If Study Edge doesn't work, the Virtual Learning Commons doesn't work, you can go to Smart Thinking and ask your question here. But in the past, I really haven't had students use this because the others are better. I just want to leave it available for you. The last thing is this honor lock tab. Don't worry about this. You don't have to ever click on this. You don't have to do anything related to this. Right. So that's the introduction video. I hope it was useful. Once again, I know it was pretty long, but pretty much everything I go through in here should get you up and running for the course. But if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, email me, and I'm happy to help.